Well, greetings again, everyone. I hope you're all doing extremely well out there. And we finished Forever Horror Month. Kind of got there eventually. And some things that we're wrap up, some things that kind of close off, some things that kind of preview for what's coming up later on and everything like that. So, as we usually do in the updates, let me get you up to speed what's happened lately. Because Forever Horror Month consisted of reviews of Pumpkinhead, The Silence of the Lambs, and Dead and Buried. All these are on the channel now. And we did commentaries for The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. We did Creepshow and Land of the Dead. So all this stuff out there. So I felt like that was pretty meaty. We did about a month, got maybe about a half a month head start on the whole thing with the commentary of that, Conjuring 3 and Pumpkinhead. Then it was a bit of a, for at least for review wise, it got kind of bogged down a little bit in the middle there. Because I was trying to get up doing all of the stuff for the Silence of the Lambs for the research and anything like that. And I got this 1 week where I would just curse, like nothing went right. Like everything I tried to do went completely wrong, whether it was here, doing stuff for the channel, trying to do stuff at work, everything was just going completely haywire, and I got nothing done. I got no progress done at all. It just all backfired on me really badly, so I lost a whole week of basically getting nothing done. And so that kind of pushed things back, and then the video was so long, and it was a bit of bogged down trying to get the thing edited. And it was a bit of a process, but it was like everything felt, at the end, right. I got everything out in there, and it's such a film. After I took so long to revisit the whole thing and go into research, look at everything, I feel like I could do another video of this in like 2 years and still have a whole bunch of different things to talk about. So that's how good of a film it is. There's a lot of fertile ground still left untapped to a degree. I feel like there's so much more to even discuss beyond what I already discussed in a video that was almost an hour long. So, fine enough. It was not as bad of a process as the Exorcist video was last October. That one really took it out of me. That was a big chore. But this one was still maybe about 20 minutes shorter than the other one, but it just took a lot of effort to get to it through certain parts of getting through the production of the whole thing. But everything else went swimmingly, like Dead and Buried. I was so thankful that video went smooth as silk. Like I shot Saturday night, got it done on Tuesday night, and that never happens. It usually takes me like bare minimum a week to get any video done, and it just slipped by so easily. It was still about 39 minutes long, but the editing was just so smooth. I had no problems. It just boom, boom, boom. Everything just laid in place. It took a bit to get going, but once it got going, no problems whatsoever. Just a real easy one to get through. So I was so thankful because I got it done right on time to get it out on Halloween and everything like that. So perfectly. Everything landed very, very nicely in that regard. So that's what's happened recently on the channel here. What we got coming up this month for commentary. It's going to kind of roll through this month and next month what we're going up for. So this month we're going to be doing the Batman, but we're going to be doing it after the finale of the Penguin series, which has 2 more episodes left this Sunday and next Sunday. And the Friday after that, me and Steve are getting together to record that commentary, plus a 35th anniversary commentary for Sleepy Hollow. So we can cover that. And while we're going on into December, we don't have anything we have things that are Christmas themed, but not like your traditional Christmas movies. One of them is a horror movie called P2. It was produced by Alexandre Aja, who did the Hills Have Eyes remake that we both love very much. And we both talked about it here and there or whatnot. And the odd thing is it never got a Blu-ray release in the United States. It's only out on DVD, so I was waiting out months and months here, just seeing maybe, I don't want to buy it in like August, and there's a Blu-ray that drops 2 months later or something like that. So kind of waited and waited and waited, see what was going to happen. Nothing got announced, nothing else happened. There was a Blu-ray release overseas, but I think it's RGB locked. It wasn't worth importing. Certainly it's up on different services. You could purchase it digitally or whatnot, but it felt like we kind of most comfortable with the actual physical disc on the most part. Sometimes we had a few things. We've done some stuff on streaming, like the Halloween Ends commentary. Didn't go so well in terms of technical qualities because there was some problem with Peacock where it wasn't showing the subtitles with Adobe Vision on or something else like that. It's all kind of wonky here there. So we like to kind of have the physical disc just to be absolutely certain we got a solid technical presentation to work with, anything like that. So just so we don't have any problems with a streaming thing or whatnot, that's the best thing to go for. So that's on order. That's coming. That should be arriving tomorrow for myself. And we'll also be doing The Long Kiss Goodnight, the Rennie Harlan film with Shane Black's script. Kind of had this up for a while. I gave lent the disc to Steve last year, so he's got a long time to summer on the whole thing. But we got it settled there. What's going to happen in December? Then January we got the I'm going to say the Poseidon Adventures, the Towering Inferno, which I haven't got around to watch, but I do have the Blu-ray of it, and I'm still pinning down what the 200th commentary for myself will be in January. I've thrown some ideas out there. I've not entirely cemented whatnot. One idea was the fact that as we've gotten the Hitcher out on 4K now, they got the Second Sight one in UK, they got the Warner Brothers one here in the US. I'm having a bit of a problem because I mentioned that I really wanted to do a video on this thing for a long time. But as we're getting into this kind of age now where they're kind of dropping doing dual format releases. So either you have to get the 4K one or just a Blu-ray one, or there's a limited edition one that's got both of them, but it's going to cost you a shit ton of money. I kind of ran into that a little bit in this past month, like Dead and Buried. The only way to get both formats, to get the 4K for my own presentation's sake, and the Blu-ray for me to rip this stuff from, I'd have to get the limited edition version, which I got close to getting on eBay, but I didn't want to get into a bidding war with certain people, so I kind of laid off and I just got the regular Blu-ray. Fine enough with that, but some things here and there, I've just been kind of measuring back and forth whatnot, which one I want to get, what I want to spend money on here and there. I had a certain thing with another title that I grabbed that I didn't get around to this past month. But regards to that, I really want the actual 4K with the Dolby Vision, the HDR grading, all that type of stuff. I want the absolute peak version of this whole thing. So if I wanted that and have the stuff be able to rip for the entire video, I'd have to get the Second Sight limited edition one, which the cheapest cost is a bit of a dinged up version up on Diabolic DVD, which is $60 plus shipping. That's a bit much. That's a lot of money for one film. I don't care about the physical extras or whatnot. I just need to have both formats so I can rip the disc and then enjoy the actual 4K HDR version of the thing on my TV. That's my dilemma on this type of stuff. If I want to do a video on it, I need a 1080p disc where I can grab the movie and the special features from it. So if I want the 4K presentation, I got to bark up a lot more money to get both of them just so I can have all the other stuff that I don't need after I produce the video. So it's a bit of a thing. It's a bit of annoyance on my regard. I know I think my friend Oliver Harper's kind of said some things about that with him trying to produce videos on like the new Arrow 4K stuff. It's like, okay, they only have one format here or one format here or something else like that. So it's being a bit difficult for some of us that actually rip the discs to produce the content and videos or whatnot about the entire releases or the movies or something like that. So it's being a lot more costly to do that type of stuff, and sometimes it's a bit too much cost to go for, so we kind of think we are strip back and do something else, or maybe one day park up again, front a lot of money to get a 4K external drive and be able to get the software, make sure our computers can handle the entire thing to rip this stuff. It's a lot more money to pony up to actually get compatible to rip 4K discs. So that's another thing. So I posited to Steve about maybe doing this as a commentary in January. He's seen it once, doesn't have, he would need a refresher. He's not entirely certain, but he felt like, well, if I felt strong enough about it to do it as a 200 that was important enough in that regard, it's a maybe type of thing. So if I were to go that route, I would just grab the Warner Bros. 4K disc, which is nice and reasonable price for me, and I don't have to deal with all, I won't get all the extra bonus features that are on the Second Sight one, but if I just want to do it for a commentary, I'm fine just grabbing the 4K disc from Warner Brothers so we can do the entire thing, discuss it as much as I want to, and find some other information online, some other pieces and whatnot beyond what's on that disc and stuff like that. So that could work out. It's a little early. We still got some time to simmer on it, see what we want to do. I haven't pulled the trigger on any release right now. It's just something that's kind of floating in there because I got so many other things I've got on my table. So many things I've discussed for like a year or so that I haven't gotten around to, that I don't want to keep piling more big videos on top of things, even though I do have some things to talk about in this one. There's some points like, okay, I still haven't done the video on the Prophecy trilogy that I talked about over a year ago when Vinegar Citron released it on Black Friday. Then I waited like another 6 months to get it on a deal, and I still haven't done the video. I haven't even watched the discs yet. So it's like, I keep getting pushed back. I don't want to keep doing that type of thing. So maybe we can find a place for it in another format on the channel here, and so on and so forth. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in that regard. who knows? Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll change my mind and something else like that. But right now, this is the thought process going forward. Because again, there's a lot of other videos on my mind that I'm trying to get around to and find a place for in my own regard. But we do have a lot of media pickups that kind of tie into everything else like that. And I think we'll mention the stuff for the retro video series right here, right now. One thing, I got a couple of things. One, I'll talk about the thing about the Terminator 2 home video retrospective redux type of thing, because I've been on pause for the entire thing because I had all the problems with the video capture situation. Not so much the card I have, but getting the analog signal processed over into an HDMI signal. And the ones the boxes I had were developing certain issues. Certain things that they weren't deinterlacing things very well, and they're kind of creating some artifacts here and there. I sold off one of them. The first one I actually got, which was one for like Christmas or my birthday or whatnot, and it was the least of the ones I had. So I sold that off. I made piss all of it on eBay, piss all money after paying for the shipping myself and getting all the fees back to eBay. I got like $1 and change off of it. So fuck it, who cares? I kept the other one I had, but I figured I'd shoot out another chance with another one I grabbed off of Amazon. It just showed up today, and this one is about $40. It's nice, well constructed and everything. It's got S-video and composite. The S-video seems to be the better option right now because I hooked it all up. I tried the composite cables first, and I was capturing some footage from the widescreen theatrical cut T2 Laserdisc because I knew the quality of the footage I grabbed before, so I knew exactly what to look for in terms of like the motion and the picture, what the artifacts were and stuff like that. And the problem with the composite ones, like it was screwing up the colors, it was oversaturating it, it was like punching up the contrast or something like that. It was much too dark. And so I threw on the S-video one, and it seemed like it was a bunch closer to the actual other, the way I'm used to seeing the Laserdisc in that regard. You still see kind of like lifted black levels to a certain degree because of everything like that in terms of getting up to a digital signal in that regard. But it looked much more closer to what I'm used to, much more closer in terms of the color and the contrast and levels and whatnot on the previous capture, which is much more akin to everything I've captured in the past before this entire setup changed. And so the deinterlacing was a little bit better. It's not a whole lot better. I'm going to have to simmer on it for a little while and see how I like it. I might just go ahead with it because I was asking my friend Oliver Harper because he's done some Laserdisc captures and stuff like that for some of the stuff on his channel. I was asking him, was like he uses a video scaler, which I kind of was trying to look around, trying to find some things. Some things on Amazon are like 100, 200, $250. Too much for me. And it wasn't coming up much on eBay or whatnot. I was kind of wandering in a bit of a haze or whatnot, trying to figure out what to look at because there's almost no idea what I'm looking at. So I figured I'll try another box and see how it goes because this one has 720 and 1080p. The 1080p seemed to work a little bit better in terms of the quality of what I was getting, though it's an upscale. Seemed to be better, and this one also has an aspect ratio switcher on it. So it's better than the one that I had that I sold off that did have those sort of options on the whole thing, both the resolution and the aspect ratio switcher. This one's better. This one's better than that one was because that one kind of blew up the contrast a little bit and some other issues in that regard. This one's a better quality one. Like I said, it definitely feels a little kind of sturdy in that regard, but I'll see how I feel about it. I'll kind of tamper around with it, see how I like. What's around with OBS Studio and see how that kind of, see where I land. I do want to get back up on this whole thing, so if I have to kind of, see the thing is, I was watching, it's like, okay, in motion, it doesn't look that bad. It's more when I'm kind of looking at it kind of frame by frame and seeing some kind of abnormalities. Like I said, this was a little bit better than the other ones I had. It's not a big step forward, but it's okay. So it's a maybe type of thing. So I'm simmer on it, see how I want to go for it, but I gotta ramp myself back up, refresh my mind on all the research I did like 3 months ago. So we'll see where things go. I still have the entire thing of maybe getting the DVD recorder, which I can use as a pass-through on the entire thing from composite or S-video up to the HDMI thing. That's still maybe a thing because my friend Ewan, who got me the special edition capture, he did the same thing. He didn't use it as a pass-through, he just used it directly as a burned onto a DVD type of thing. So it's a thing, but when you look up on eBay, it's a lot of stuff that's used. You don't know how much longevity they'll still have. It's kind of a crapshoot. When I got off of on a Goodwill, still sitting in the freaking garage. It's not selling any bit on eBay. It's not getting any biters or whatnot. So I might just have to junk it or whatever it is. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever the case is. So still options in the air. Kind of think about things. We'll see where things go. Don't know right now, but it's a maybe. So there's that. And I was getting up to think about what I was going to do next. I'm not saying this is exactly what I'm doing next, but this was an idea of it because I had the entire thing. I was noticing there was a memory on Facebook from a year ago where I was talking about the entire thing. So it's been on the page for too long. So getting up to the entire thing of doing the numerous versions of Star Trek the Motion Picture, because I have the theatrical cut from the 4K remastered set. I have the director's edition, which is a 4K, the 4K edition with the bonus features on a 1080p Blu-ray, but only the movie on a 4K disc. So that was a thing, but I did able to source a rip of it. I got a rip of it from somewhere, so that was fine. And I also have the DVD version of the director's edition. And I also have, in Laserdisc form and Pan-O-Scan, the special longer version, which I grabbed this when I was doing the actual regular review for the film several years ago, but it arrived too late for me to actually watch it. No, so I probably haven't watched this. I haven't watched this version since I first had the old VHS box set back in the early 90s. And so that's that. So they did do the entire complete adventure box set, which remastered everything in 4K, including this in widescreen. The odd thing is, this set is really weird from region to region, from like market to market. There's a certain market, I think it may be, there's a weird type of thing. So there's some, I think the UK one has dual format. The US one does not have dual format. But there's certain ones like, I think like Germany doesn't have it as dual format. So it got a really weird release in different areas. I don't know why there was no coordination on the whole thing. Why there wasn't just a standard version of the set across the board. So people in like the UK got the entire special longer version, probably I think on a regular Blu-ray that I could rip, but I'm not going to import the entire thing for like $130 or something like that. So it's a thing. So I'm a little bit on the thing. I already have a capture of this from several years ago. I don't have to worry about recapturing it. So I have a capture of it because I gave it off to Drew, who is doing the Star Trek Visual Comparisons Guide. Never hasn't done anything with it in a long time, but I originally did a capture of it for him and sent it off to him, and I just saved it on one of my hard drives, so I still have that. So the same old one I had from a couple years ago with the old capture setup. That's perfectly fine. So I could still use that. I would prefer to have at my disposal the widescreen restoration, because I know there's some points where they actually went back and completed some visual effects shots which were not completed at all for the entire TV broadcast and the whole thing. So we'll see about that. It's kind of in the thing because I was having the fucking damnedest time, because on the 4K remastered Blu-ray of the theatrical cut, it was giving me such problems ripping it. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know if it was my software. It was just doing weird things that was never done before with any other disc. I could rip the special features, that's fine. But when it came to the movie itself, it just was acting weird. Like it was taking hours. It should not take hours. It was just doing really weird shit. I don't know what was happening with this whole thing. I eventually was able to use the free version of DVD Fab to do an MKV rip of the whole thing, which is a bit of a pain in the ass to actually convert over to ProRes for Final Cut Pro. But at least I have a rip I can kind of work with, even though it's going to be a bit of a slog to get through, kind of ripping it and converting it over, or transcoding it. But it is there, so I'm making progress on it. I don't know when this is going to happen. I'm just trying to, I was spending Friday just kind of getting all the stuff ripped as much as I could, so I could have it at my disposal when I want to get to it. But as you're seeing, there's a lot of things I have in motion that aren't really getting there yet. So things in that regard. So it's something that's in progress to be kind of pre-production wise, but there's a lot of stuff to get through. I've got to watch the theatrical cut, the special longer version, the DVD director's cut, and the 4K director's. There's 4 versions of the film I have to watch. That's a lot of stuff to get through. And plus, I got to watch some, got to delve into some of the new special features on the 4K set, getting the whole thing. So there's a lot of stuff to get over, a lot of stuff to get into. So sometime in the near future, you can look forward to a numerous versions of Star Trek the Motion Picture video being produced. So I'm moving things along and just have some stumbling blocks in that regard, and see where I can go and trying to get things smoothed over in due time. I'll talk about another video afterwards. I want to kind of get into the media pickups. But I do want to kind of say that the next video I'm probably going to do, because I just need something that's kind of, since a lot of the stuff is kind of long pre-production process, I need something kind of smaller, kind of fill in the gap for the next couple of weeks, because obviously we're not recording the next commentary for about 2 weeks now, close to it. So there's going to be a bit of gap to get to that, so I can't rely on the commentary to fill in the gap. So I got to find something a little smaller. So I was kind of throwing around titles from my entire list that I have, and I kind of landed on maybe doing Taken, Liam Neeson film. I was kind of hemming hawing because there's not like a lot of interesting background on the entire film. There's not like a lot of things that kind of like get meaty into or whatnot. But I felt maybe I could, maybe it could work out just fine. And like, because you could talk a little bit about currently like the 15-year kind of retrospective on like Liam Neeson action movie lead in a certain way, where it's really kind of tapered off. He put out a new film called Absolution, which got like no fucking marketing. And they put it out in theaters. There's no marketing for this film. I have no idea what it's about. Haven't seen a trailer anywhere. Nothing. It bombed completely on impact. And so there's kind of thing I could kind of weave in there just a little bit. Not extensively, but just kind of like the start of the entire thing that really started out hot. Now it's kind of just kind of not much of a thing. So I feel like I've got a couple of days. I'm going to be working the next couple of days, so get along to it, see what I feel about it, and do some research into maybe the commentary track. Some other things are going to get a little something out of it here and there. So maybe I'm thinking about that the strongest, because some of the things I had on the list would be a lot more extensive, something like The Prestige or Body Double or something else like that. A couple films that would take a lot more time to kind of digest and kind of really dig into all the stuff behind them and whatnot. So I got some things, but I feel like Take is a nice, easy one to get into and get out of pretty quickly in that regard. It won't bog me down within like 45-minute video. I think it could probably be pretty easily under a half an hour, I imagine, in that regard. So that's probably the next one I'm going up to. But let's transition to the media pickups, because I know you guys really liked it, and there's a lot of them here, because I've been buying stuff up pretty regularly right now. But today, I decided to go out because I was looking for other things. There's like CDs and whatnot. But I went to the disc replay we have nearby that's actually expanding right now. They took over another unit in the strip mall, and they're kind of expanding the whole thing because it got really congested in there. They're really closed in. They're well overdue for expansion, so they're doing a very good job. They're doing it very quickly in that regard. So I found one thing I wanted for the CDs. And then I looked over, just the thing came to my mind, because there's something else I need to talk about in this whole thing. And they had this on the TV show Blu-rays for Human Target Season 1. Now I have it on DVD. I never upgraded to the Blu-ray because in this era of putting out like 2010 or so, they're still putting lossy audio on these things. It just has Dolby Digital. Despite the fact they have enhanced audio mixes for the home video presentation, and it didn't give you a lossless audio track for the Blu-rays, really irked me. Same reason I never upgraded my DVDs of Terminator the Sarah Connor Chronicles, because better picture but not better audio. So this type of thing in that regard that irks me. So if you want to grab those for a good price, this one I got for $10. And so much so I finally pulled the trigger on this is the fact that it's up on Twitter, and sometimes it works out for you. Sometimes you find some nice people up there. Because there's a guy called John W. who's actually kind of leaving the platform in a couple of weeks. But he was like taking requests. He's a guy who kind of sources a lot of stuff. Like people like doing film scans, or some things are very, very rare in that regard. I kept kind of requesting Season 2 of Human Target because it's not available anywhere. And they never put it on disc. You can't find it on VOD. You can't buy it anywhere. It's gone. It's just gone. Someone found the rips for me. I have HD versions of Season 2 now because I've been wanting to do a retrospective on a Human Target, same as I did Brimstone all those years ago. You know, the series that got canceled by Fox and got very much heavily tampered with in its second season. So I'm not saying this is happening right away, but it's definitely saying with this in my hand and all those episodes I now have completely well stored on my computer, I do want to do that. I want to go through the entire thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it because it's been so many years since I did the Brimstone one that I don't know exactly how I broke everything down. I can rewatch the video, but in terms of like the research, how exactly I broke everything down, not entirely certain. I probably have to just kind of like go through all the episodes, find out what the story threads are, talk about what those are, do some research in the background of the entire series. And, of course, when Season 2 arrived, they retooled a whole bunch of stuff throughout the entire storyline that was left in the cliffhanger of Season 1 and threw it the hell out. And it just gradually just ruined the show. So I've been wanting to talk about that for a very long time. So I have this. I have the Blu-ray now. It's 2-disc set. Very much in that regard, I can do that and get into it eventually. So it's very much strong on my list of certain things to get into, and so on and so forth. So there's that. And of course, there's no way that me and Steve couldn't have gotten this on disc. It's the 4K of Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, Steve got the big Ultimate Edition version of the whole thing. I just got the regular slipcase version. This artwork isn't anything that's going to set the world on fire, but I don't care. The disc looks fantastic. All that type of stuff. I watched it on Halloween. And I watched a couple of things on Halloween. They're pretty much all on the stack here. But I watched it. It looked great. They fixed the audio tracks. Because apparently, I know at least on the 2006 Film DVD and probably ported maybe over to the Blu-ray, they were missing some sound effects. There's some like sound effects, some music cues. They're missing from the mono track, of course, missing from all the remixes. Now they fixed it. Both the mono track and the Atmos mix have all that stuff restored. Thank goodness. Now this is definitely Warner Brothers at their finest, doing great work. The thing looked wonderful. Watching HDR10, all that type of stuff. It just looked really fantastic. Very much so. So, highly, highly recommend it. And we've got something planned here. Talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Steve knows what's coming up. Because me and Steve were kind of on the same wavelength. We both had it rattling around our heads at the same time. And he texted me one night. And he just kind of posited to me, just threw it out there. It's like, hear me out. Next year is the 15th anniversary of the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. The one film we've gone on for 8 years, but never covering on the channel. We both, pretty much at the exact same time, thought about doing this finally as a commentary track. We're going to do it about next spring. We're going to do it on April, but we got a couple things lined up for April. I'll let you know about them, because we recently mentioned in one of the commentaries we were doing would be American Psycho. So that's coming up on our 25th anniversary in April. So that's coming up. We're going to be doing that. And for Alien Day 4/26, we're planning to do Alien 3. So that's coming up in April. We haven't figured out like March or February or whatnot, so we got some holes to fill out, but we are certain spots where there's certain anniversary dates we're zeroing in on. So in May next year, we will be doing a commentary for the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, because we just kind of talked ourselves into it. I was thinking about it as a morbid curiosity type of thing to finally get up on it, and he was thinking about it at the exact same time. So, so it shows how kind of simpatico we are at some points in time about thinking about the exact same thing at the exact same time. Yeah, we talked ourselves into it. So we will get to it. I don't have a copy of it yet. I'm going to find the cheapest copy I can. I got time to hunt it down. I'll find something that doesn't cost me too much. We don't want to spend too much on this yet. So anything like that. And we'll say there's another thing I'm waiting for in the mail right now, because I've been... The Roy Scheider flick, The 7-Ups. It only had a Blu-ray release from, I believe it was Twilight Time, several years ago. Can't get it no more. Some Regent B stuff, anything like that. Comes up a lot on eBay, but since I don't have Regent B, people keep telling me to get a Regent for your player, here and there and everywhere. But anything like that, I grabbed the DVD of it. I finally grabbed up the DVD because my guys Eric and Charlie over at the So It's Come to This Movie podcast, they did I listened to an episode they did on the film where I haven't watched the film before. I listened to their episode and like, yeah, this sounds really good. When I think it was back when I was doing my sort of Roy Scheider-a-thon with like 2010 Jaws 52 pickup. It's been on my mind, so I've been watching it on eBay, finding the right price for it, and I pulled the trigger on it. So it should be arriving tomorrow as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to do a video or whatnot. I don't know what. I just wanted to have it to watch it because you can't find it on VOD. It's nowhere to be found in that regard. I think someone did rip it to put it up on YouTube. I wanted to actually have the physical copy to enjoy it in that regard. So I'm interested in it because it's not an official French Connection spinoff. Still Roy Scheider playing a character with the same first name. So you can kind of see it that way, but it's at least kind of a spiritual successor in that regard. But I'm interested. So moving forward, as I mentioned at the beginning of the entire Federal Horror Month thing, one of the titles I did kind of cold watch and I was very much interested in was Angel Heart. Now, there's a whole thing that Lionsgate put it out on 4K a couple of years ago, but it seemed to be like a limited edition, a technical limited edition. It seemed like it was first a Best Buy Steelbook edition, and then it maybe got wider release or something like that, but it's nowhere to be found right now. It goes for like stupid money online. So I had to hunt down the one from Skew Canal Overseas, which has a region B Blu-ray, but a region-free 4K. So I can watch the thing, I can actually rip the disc. The region B disc will work just fine in my computer because there's no problems with the region coding on the computer. So I had to hunt it down pretty hard. I found it on Zavvi US for like $1 cheaper than anywhere else, and it just took for fucking ever. I was not a fan for how their tracking system was. Apparently it was coming from overseas, but I was looking at the tracking information like 2 or 3 different systems, and all kept me giving contradictory information. I didn't know what the fuck was going on with this whole thing. It was very confusing. And obviously, I finally got the whole thing. And when I watched the film, because I was originally, I think I was watching it maybe up on Tubi or something else like. No, I was up on Pluto TV because the ads were stupid incessant. And that was the old HD master. I could definitely tell that. That I switched over to Prime, watched it as a proper rental. That one was definitely the remastered picture. I could definitely tell that very much. So this will still happen. Obviously, I didn't spend 30 plus bucks on the whole thing not to do the video now. But as I couldn't squeeze it into October, I'm going to wait a little bit, simmer on it, go back to it, do a little more research on it, kind of get it simmered in, anything like that. But it's still on the list or whatnot, but it's here in that regard. So, all that good stuff. And then it has all the bonus features from the old DVD version, plus the later Blu-ray, so it has very comprehensive stuff. So, if I got the Lionsgate one, I'd still have to use the old master from the Blu-ray, because they sometimes they remaster the Blu-ray and the whole thing, sometimes they don't. On that one, I believe they still have the old Blu-ray authored version of the whole thing, so that one didn't have all the bonus features from the DVD, so that one has everything. So I have very much everything at my disposal, at my fingertips. It's a much better version to get in that regard. And I also got one that I didn't really preview in any type of way, but I did get Late Night with the Devil. They got this for about $16, $17 off of deep discount, I think it was, yeah. So I was starting to watch this on Halloween, but I kind of, tail end of my marathon, I was getting really tired. I felt like I wanted to change the pace. I started watching scary episodes of Star Trek, Scary Trek as I was calling it. So I felt like I wanted to transition a little bit over to certain things. I had the entire thing for the motion picture, video, and everything like that in my head. So I really wanted to start watching some Trek or whatnot. So I kind of switched over, watched some TNG episodes that already had some spooky themes and stuff like that on it. But it's not a knock on this thing. It's just I was tired. I just felt like I needed to change the pace. But it's a good. Honestly, I just got the regular keep case version, not the steelbook, because it was much cheaper. And one thing they got is a little kind of like little autograph thing of Jack Delroy from David Desmalch and all the things. So nice little insert type of thing to add for the whole thing. But other than that, it's got a Q&A with the directors, commentary from Desmalchin, some other things on the whole thing. So it's a behind the scenes featurette. So we are planning to do this as a commentary eventually. We don't know where it's going to slot in right now, but it's on the list. Definitely on the list. Because someone recommended after we had already kind of settled in on what we were doing for October, someone thought maybe do Late Night with the Devil and House of the Devil, the Ty West film, which I haven't watched yet. But I like that idea. Do that as a double feature, not that way, just a thematic double feature. We'll still think about it. We'll see where it lands and whatnot. So, House of the Devil is up on Peacock. It's been up there for years, so eventually I'll get around to it. And once we kind of set a date and figure out what we want to do with things, surely in that regard. Other thing I grabbed up, which was finally put back on sale from Groove or whatnot, about $11.99. I grabbed the 4K of The Lost Boys. And I did watch this on Halloween. And it's still a good film. And I would just have, when I was watching it this time, I feel like as I've grown with this entire film, I feel like the comedy aspects don't work for me quite as well as they used to. I kind of like much more the mature, dramatic storyline where you got Michael and David and Star and stuff like that. The much more the teenage type of story in the whole thing, which is much more dramatic in that regard. And so like Corey Haim and Feldman and Jameson Newlander and everything like that, doing much more the comedy shtick in the entire thing. But it's a cheap enough disc. If you want to ask me about vampire films in the '80s, I think Fright Night's kind of top the list for me, followed by Monster Squad. But those are much more expensive 4K discs, so I grabbed the cheaper option. I feel like I've got Fright Night on Blu-ray, but I definitely want to get the 4K because I think it just look a little bit better with the HDR grading, the Dolby Vision and whatnot. I think it definitely look good. And Monster Squad I still have on DVD, so I got to catch up. That one goes for a lot more money. I think it may be, they make it like a 3-disc set. That's why it's more expensive. I don't know. I mean, the Fright Night one's 3-disc. But anything like that. So I got to get up on those because I love Fright Night. Every time I throw on that soundtrack, I really want to delve into that movie again. Like that. I'm still waiting on that. Still waiting on that Blu-ray for Fright Night 2 that was announced that from Cinema Museum. That was said. They said last year it was going to be coming like May of this year, and it's been no news for over a year. We don't know what's happening. I don't know if they're still trying to source film print or something like that to kind of do a new scan. I don't know. It felt like they had things sorted out to the most degree. They were just going to use the existing master that was out there and just kind of slap everything together and put it out, but nothing's happened. So, still kind of sitting around waiting to see what's going to happen in the whole thing. I still want to do that video, but I want to do it as a proper review video, not... So originally plan to do it as a retro video series, kind of talk about all the stuff behind it, which oddly enough is tied into the Menendez murders, which is a big hot topic right now because I won't get too much into it, but just the fact the parents that were killed in the entire thing were involved with the distribution of the entire film, and they kind of wonkied the whole thing up. I don't know anything specific in that regard. Go over to like Wikipedia or whatnot, you'll find out a lot more information about, but that was kind of instrumental in the entire weird distribution, entire film in that regard. I've got 2 more titles here. There are 4Ks from Kino Lorber that were on sale on Amazon. But no more than $20 a piece. And one was Cujo, and one was Sudden Death. And so I was happy Cujo still had a slipcover on. That was really nice. Because it's been out for a while. It's been out for about a year now, so anything like that. But this was the first thing I watched on Halloween. And obviously, we watched Steve's 4K for the entire commentary earlier in the year. But really good. Still fantastic, fantastic stuff. I haven't put in Sudden Death yet. But again, my friend Oliver Harper, big Van Damme fan, loves this film as well as I do. He's seen it, seen this entire version, this entire release, and he had great marks for it as well. Fortunately, Kino Lorber was kind of holding out doing a release because they announced it a long time ago. And apparently they kept putting it on hold to release it because they kept waiting for Van Damme and or Peter Hyams to come back with interviews or a commentary track, and it just never happened. I don't know what fell through. I don't know what the situations were. There were just word going around that they kept waiting and kept pushing it off until they kind of like, well, we can't wait anymore. We're just going to put it out. So there's just vintage interview clips from a lot of people involved in the film, behind the scenes footage, trailers, TV spots, and some film historian and stuff like that, audio commentary stuff, which I don't terribly go into, anything like that. But anything like that, I had to grab this. I just knew that I wanted to get this because this was also one I kind of threw out maybe to do in January as well as the 200th. To Steve, I don't think he's familiar with the film at all, but definitely willing to lend this to him if he's interested and whatnot, because I think it's probably one of Van Damme's best, especially in terms of theatrical films, probably the top of the list. Next to like Hard Target, but this one's definitely fantastic. Sudden Death is really fucking good. So, anything like that. So, that's everything I have for media pickups, guys. So, really good stuff. So, got some sales, really good prices on certain things. So, it was a really good time to grab some stuff up. And we'll see where things go off at that point in time. The only other thing I had in my head that I kind of had over here is there's an idea I had, which I was going to talk about on the last update, but I felt like that was long enough. This one's quite long as it is. But I've been having this thing because before I even did the last update, I was kind of reading through my Art of the Empire Strikes Back book, which has a lot of great information on it and a lot of great art and stuff like that. This idea I had some time ago of wanting to do a video, or at least a series of videos, about the evolution of the visual effects of the original Star Wars trilogy. Now, this is a big topic. It would take a lot of work to get into, but I was also watching the SBFX Empire Strikes Back documentary on the old Blu-ray set, which I'd never watched before. I was like, man, I love this stuff. I can't get enough of this stuff. I can't get enough information, enough delving into the experience of making all these visual effects. I just find it endlessly fascinating. So it's an idea I want to do. I just keep thinking about it. I just want to do it. I just don't know exactly where to really start, because I know I have to go deeper than what the stuff I already have. Deeper than this, deeper than just old documentaries or features. I feel like there's some deeper thing I have to get. Maybe I got to get a book of some kind. Maybe I got to watch that ELM documentary on Disney Plus. I just feel like there's more I need to get into than what's already available. I don't want to just parrot the stuff that's already in the available documentaries. I want to kind of create a conglomeration of information and try to get into it and find as much as I can. So I felt like doing the entire trilogy as one video would be very massive. I feel like I could break it down between each film in the trilogy and be a little easier to deal with. So I could kind of focus on this part and kind of let that breathe its own thing. Then I work on Empire, then Jedi, because they all have their own unique elements of the entire production process. Obviously, Return of the Jedi has a lot more creature effects, a lot more puppet work, and a lot of other things. Like different ones have different technologies being used. So I feel like if I could do them, compartmentalize them as separate videos, it'd be easier on me. I could edit it much further, because if I do this whole thing and I've got so much information, it could be like a 2-hour long video, that would crush me. But if I can do each one, then maybe it'll be about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, or something like that. Who knows what it is. I could deal with that better. I kind of tease it out and can take a break in between each one and kind of cycle back around and get up to Empire, then Return of the Jedi a couple months later. So I feel that's more doable in a certain way. Just an idea I really want to see done. Whereas me doing it, someone else doing it, I just got to find where to go for it. Because, I mean, there's a lot of interviews on podcasts like Talking Bay 94 or Jamie Benning's Filmumentaries podcast. A lot of interviews with a lot of people. You need to find like zeroed in sources to figure out what information I want to get from what sources, folded in the entire thing. This would not be, I don't think this would be me on camera doing it. I think this definitely had to be along the lines of, like, again, the one I did for the Brimstone retrospective or the original T2 home video retrospective. I think I'd have to script this one out very particularly and do it that way. Do it voiceover and stuff like that. I think it would definitely be the way to go for it. So that's a strong idea in my head that just keeps cycling around so much. I really want to get into it. I just got to find a starting point to get forward and figure out what sources I need to get the information I really want to. So, like I said, there's a couple documentaries already. Got the Empire Dreams, the SPFX, all that stuff, the Return of the Jedi, Classic Creatures, something. A lot of stuff out there. From Star Wars The Jedi, I've got all the stuff really at hand. I feel like there's more I can get into. There's more information to dig out for certain places. So I'll see where it goes. I'll see where I can tap into and look into things. But as I said before, I'll probably be working next on a much simpler video, being probably Taken. A review of Taken, and move into a bit more of the heavier stuff once I kind of figure out kind of these technical issues I've been having lately with, whereas the Star Trek, the motion picture thing with the ripping discs, and trying to find maybe the widescreen version of the special longer cut, or the video capture stuff I have going on with the T2 thing. So I'll start sifting around and figuring things out. Like I said, I'm working the next couple of days. It gives me some time to not jump on things right away. Kind of feel out where I want to go for and see what direction I want to work on things. Maybe a little bit at a time. Work on a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and move forward on the Taken video here and there and see what happens. So guys, interesting stuff. All that type of stuff. So I could talk much longer, but I think 45-minute long video is much long enough. So guys, if there's anything else I had to say, I don't know about it. But anything like that, guys. So thanks so much for checking in. Super thanks feature here if you want to contribute anything directly to the channel monetarily. Patreon as well. And liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, all that type of stuff helps feed the channel, makes it very healthy, makes the algorithm very much like us around here, and get things pushed out. Because some things really blew up, like the Land of the Dead commentary. Since the Lamb's video, this really kind of took on a lot more life over the last couple weeks. So thank you so much, guys, for checking things out, sticking with us, and hope you take care. So bye. Take care. Bye-bye.